Today, we have with us Dr. C.V. Anandabose, veteran IAS officer, writer, columnist, and orator. Dr. C.V. Anandabose speaking on RSS, fact and fiction. On to Dr. C.V. Anandabose.
What is RSS all about? A dedicated band of Indian nationalists with commitment to the heritage of Bharat, or a bigoted assemblage of intolerant extremists in Hinduism? India has been kept in the dark about the real identity of this national outfit. RSS has been banned on and off in this country. The Britishers banned it during the war. Independent India banned the RSS close on heels of the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi. They were again banned in the context of emergency, and then came the ban in the backdrop of the demolition of the Babri Masjid. If they have been banned, they must be bad boys. But if the ban has been lifted, they must be good boys. That is the primordial confusion of the RSS. Are they cops or are they thieves? The ruling dispensation during Raj or Swaraj have been ambivalent in judging the real essence and identity of the RSS in this country. Here is India's first Prime Minister, Sri Jawaharlal Nehru, on the RSS. He says, by education, I am an Englishman. By views, an internationalist. By culture, a Muslim and a Hindu, only by an accidental birth. There is no indictment of the RSS in this, but implied in this statement is Nehru's ambivalent attitude towards anything that is Hindu. Now, the next generation of the Nehrus, here is Rahul Gandhi telling the US Ambassador Timothy Romer that the growth of the radicalized Hindu groups was a bigger threat than the Lashkar-e-Toiba. He implied the RSS is a bigger threat than Lashkar-e-Toiba. Now, here is Dr. Zakir Hussain, India's revered former president and statesman, thinker and philosopher. Zakir Hussain says the allegations against RSS of violence and hatred against Muslims are wholly false. Muslims should learn the lesson of mutual love, cooperation, and organization from RSS. That is Dr. Zakir Hussain. Here is Justice K.T. Thomas, former judge of the Supreme Court of India, who considers RSS as one of the bulwarks of India's national security, the constitution, democracy, military, and the RSS. So, he places RSS in distinguished company. The nation has a right to know the truth. What is RSS? At one stage, they were vociferously criticized for not accepting or recognizing or honoring the Constitution of India. RSS was reviled for disrespecting the tricolor. The ordinary citizen needs a simple reply. RSS is bound to answer. Do you honor the Constitution of India? Do you honor the national flag of India? Well, in 2002, RSS hosted India's national flag in their headquarters in Nagpur. Now tell me, is the RSS against the tricolor? And about the Constitution. RSS has categorically stated that the goal of the Constitution should reflect the Indian ethos. there are a lot of misgivings about the reservations of RSS about the content of the constitution. They raised certain objections to the constitution at that time. They raised objections to tricolor being accepted as a national flag of India. There is more to it than meets the eye. The objection to the constitution was not, I repeat, not because of the content which it had, but because of the content which it avoided. Yes, India's constitution should reflect the national ethos. The soul and substance of India is missing from the constitution. That was what was pointed out by the RSS. The concept of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, the greatness of the lawgivers of India like Manu, were totally avoided from the constitution of India. Therefore, they felt it is a cut and paste constitution reflecting the Western views. In the Constituent Assembly, there are many who aired similar views very strongly against the constitution as it was in the formative part of the constitution making. Their opinions differ. Opinions can still differ. And about the national flag of India, the nationalists feel that the tricolor does not represent the essence of India. They feel Bhagavad Dwaj represents India's soul. That was a valid approach. When there are many valid approaches, you have to choose one from the other. But that does not mean that the rejected approaches are rejectable. The Constitution itself makes provision for amendment. The Constitution has been amended many times. Can we say that all these amendments were for public good? Political exigencies of those times resulted in the amendment to the Constitution on many occasions. Nothing is static. Nothing should be static in democracy. So why single out RSS? RSS for giving another opinion about the content of the Constitution of India. Now about the bigotry of RSS. Here are the heads of RSS in the country. Hedgewar, Golwalkar, Devaras, Sudarshan, and now Mohanji Bhagwat. There was once this dialogue between the stalwarts of RSS and the leaders of the Muslim community. The RSS leaders asked them politely, can you point out a word spoken or written by any of these sarsang chalaks of RSS against Islam? The answer was a stony silence. During COVID, India heard the voice of the present sarsang chalak, Dr. Mohanji Bhagwat, specifically mentioning that the lapses which occurred from the Tabligh should not be, repeat, not be taken out against the Muslim community. Straight from the words of Mohan Bhagwatji. And at Vijayadashmi address, he underlined the pluralistic nature of India, where every religion has got a right to exist peacefully, harmoniously. Now, where is the dichotomy between the truth and reality? If this is the RSS, should there be any intolerance against their existence in this country? Started in 1925, RSS flourishes quietly as an unseen breeze which moves the sail that propels the ship of Indian nationalism. They are do-gooders in hours of crisis. Isn't it surprising that RSS, which was banned by Jawaharlal Nehru, was invited by Lal Bahadur Shastri to take the policing of Delhi during the war with Pakistan so that the policemen could focus on war-related activities. If the RSS is the devil that it is pictured to be by some quarters, how came they were invited to participate in the Republic Day parade in 1963 by Jawaharlal Nehru himself? Was it for a devil's dance? Something has gone wrong somewhere. People have a right to know the truth. In Africa, there is a folktale. Truth and untruth are siblings. Once untruth tells truth, let us go for a swim, a friendly contest. Truth agrees, comes on the bank, takes off his clothes, and plunges into the river. What does untruth do? Untruth dons the clothes of truth and walks majestically to the town. The townsmen mistake untruth to be truth because it is in the garb of truth. They greet him, cheer him, welcome him with both hands. Truth comes back from swimming. He does not see his clothes there. All that is left there are the clothes of untruth. No, I will never wear the clothes of untruth. Truth walks without any clothes to the town. The concept of naked truth comes from this. The townsmen jeer at him, pooh-pooh him, ridicule him, condemn him. This happens to naked truth everywhere. As far back as 1923, Madan Mohan Malaviya said in his presidential address to the Hindu Mahasabha, which was a part of the Indian National Congress, Malaviya ji said, friendship could exist between equals if the Hindus made themselves strong. The rowdy sections among the Mohammedans will be convinced that they could not safely rob and dishonor Hindus. Unity could be established on a stable basis. This is Madan Mohan Malaviya ji, and he suggested that for this purpose, Hindus should educate boys and girls, establish gymnasiums, and create a voluntary corps to persuade people to comply with the decisions of the Hindu Mahasabha. He also advocated acceptance of the untouchables and grand use public wells, entering temples and educational institutions. V.D. Savarkar also had a profound impact on the RSS founder, Sri Hedgawarji. There were integrated activities between the RSS and the Hindu Mahasabha. In 1931, the RSS participated in the annual function of the Hindu Mahasabha. Abraham Lincoln said, "We can fool some people for all time and all people for some time, but not all people for all times." In the Bible, there is a scene. Jesus Christ is in the dock. He is accused by the irate mob. The governor, Pontius Pilate, is confused. The scene is immortalized by Francis Bacon in his essay, where Pontius Pilate asks, "What is truth?" asked jesting Pilate, and would not wait for an answer. What is truth about RSS? People are asking. We will certainly wait for an answer. The answer comes from the words and deeds of the RSS masters themselves. The author, Jeffrey Lott, has done an analytical study of the RSS. He says that the RSS ideology treats society as an organism with a secular spirit. Ideology of the RSS did not develop a theory of the state and the race, a crucial element in European nationalism. He establishes that the analogy of RSS to Nazism and fascism is fallacious. RSS was and is interested in culture, whereas the Nazis and fascists were proponents of racial sameness, which is alien to the perception of the Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. RSS at one stage, though it was an apolitical organization, at one stage they decided to shake off their distancing from politics, and at one stage nominated people like Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Shyam Prasad Mukherjee to enter politics. Now, two prominent leaders of the RSS, A.B. Vajpayee and the present Prime Minister Narendra Modi, have headed the government of India. They went by the Constitution of India and implemented projects which are in keeping with the pluralistic nature of Indian society. The world has started seeing RSS in a different light. Yes, the RSS has emerged a strong, disciplined, nationalist organization which is rooted in patriotism. The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, as Shakespeare would put it, which haunted the RSS from vested interests, have started losing their sharpness and ferocity. And what exactly does the RSS and its sister organizations, which together are called the Sangh Parivar, do to the nation? There is a tradition among the tribals of Amazon. When the boy becomes a youth, he is subjected to a test. He is taken to the jungle, the deep jungle, where there are ferocious tigers and lions and leopards roaming around. The boy is tied to a tree. He has to be there throughout the night. He hears the terrific voice of the wild animals around him. He starts cursing the chieftains of the tribals. How came they could abandon me? Worst of all, how came my dear dad could do this? Early morning, he is untied from the tree. He sees next to him throughout night was standing his dear father with a raised up axe. Behind him were the tribal leaders with drawn swords to protect him. Yes, this is what RSS and the Sangh Parivar does to India, Bharat. They are there with a raised axe and drawn up swords to protect Indian nationalism. Satyameva Jayate, Vande Mataram.